Donnie don't want to deal with all this. Oh God.
Hello.
Is this Donny
Hello.
Schatz?
Yeah.
Why did you answer the phone?
Because it rang.
Well, do you know who this is? I don't want to.
There's only one. There's only one voice that sounds like that. It must
Oh,
be.
come on,
It,
Donnie.
is this Dick Tracker?
Dick Tracker. What do you mean? What is Dick Tracker, Donnie?
Are you on your show, Chaz?
I am. We had interactions with your nieces earlier.
Oh. Well,
We
that's
tried.
wonderful.
We tried to call Deanne. It didn't work. The viewers were asking. They want to hear Donnie's voice. I was comparing you to Scott Bloomquist and Tim McCready earlier. We just had Boom Briggs on. What's your relationship with Boom? That seems very passionate. I thought Boom was going to cry.
Boom. I've known Boom for quite some time. I mean, racing the late models down in Volusia and being guys that ran rockets, and he's just an all-around great person. And I guess when you got around him the first time, we hit it off and hung out and just normal people. So them guys come up here in the summertime for a week or so and hang out here and do their racing, and so we get around them as much as we can. I consider him a good friend.
And so I want to know at this point, we are live on the show. You're consenting to this, hopefully.
I didn't consent to none of this. Let's be clear.
Okay. So you can sue me now. This will be a great fucking. We could be like OJ in the Simpson trials. Like this would be great.
Yeah.
Anyway, some of the commenters are wanting to know why you said Dick Tracker.
Oh, I said Dirt Tracker. You just took it wrong.
Okay, well, speaking of Dick, we can take it wrong as many times as we need
kidding.
to. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah.
No, we don't need to fuck with him. He's fine. Boom did seem very adamant that, and once again, I compared you to the Scott Bloomquist era. I said, you look at 2010 to, oh God, Boom's trying to call me. You look at 2010 to 2020, and you see who dominated our dirt track industry. It was you. It was Scott. I think that's my opinion. I don't think, and I got kind of adamant on the show. I feel like the industry is trying to push you out. I feel like they're like, all right, here's Gravel, here's Kofoid, Donnie's out, he's just going away. I don't necessarily think that's right. That's just my opinion that they're trying to do that. What do you feel the same way? And can we anticipate, as I said to Boom, Donnie coming into Volusia or next year and slapping these guys around? I mean, we can't allow Donnie shots to go away. I think it's very important for the sprint car industry, personally.
It really doesn't matter what a person's feelings are about anything, Chaz.
All right, throw my feelings out the way. Okay, fine.
No, it is what it is. It's just racing. It's just life. It's not the end of the world. I don't really think too much about it. I mean, if there's a person that's active in this sport that can put the stats up that I've put up, and great, but there isn't. So I'm not going to start taking advice from those people, even though the younger guys today are obviously there's a lot of young up and comers, but I'm not gonna. I got where I got in a certain way, and it's just the way it works. Until someone goes and outdoes that, I guess I'll.
Well, hold on. This is my problem, Donnie.
Confident about what it is I do.
What do you mean? I don't want to hear that from you either. Don't you still feel like you got a lot in the tank? I mean, look at what Darren Pittman's doing. Look at what fucking Lance Deweese is doing. I don't think age applies to racing the same as other sports, personally. That's just me. Maybe in risk taking, but I think in a sport like racing, you are strapped in a car. There is an element of finesse. There is an element. I'm not saying that you need a perfect track. I mean, I think Donnie Schatz will put it on the line whenever he needs to put it on the line to win the biggest races in the world. This isn't necessarily like you are old and done. I don't think that that's fair. You know what I'm saying? Like ability and skill, and even though we know equipment's very important, obviously I feel like that's kind of what we experienced here. Even though Jason was doing a great job, I feel like equipment is a big part, and then also scenario is a big part. Don't you think that if you were presented the same opportunity as everyone else, you could perform, you know?
Oh, there's a lot of moving parts in the whole scenario, and it's I don't know how you categorize it other than there's a lot of people that have worked hard and started to race together. I mean, we had the staple for that for a lot of years where all of us worked together, for a long time. So you don't just go bouncing around and hopping in and out of things and think that's just not my mantra. There's guys that's all they know. That's how they've had to do it. So you got to build up to things, and it's honestly a slap in the face to the guys that are running good when people think you're just going to go hop in something here today or this certain car or this certain motor, and you're going to be consistently running up front. You might it's just the way it is. There's a lot of the competition level's pretty high. So, and the guys that are running good have focused on working together. You look at Macedo's or Carson Macedo and Buddy and David and all those guys. They're working with people for long periods of time now, so it's starting to show.
Well, but don't you also think that at the same time, and I'm not necessarily saying to you personally, but isn't confidence a very big thing in this sport? Like, I feel like, and I've always said this, you could ride in a late model, you could ride in a modified, you could ride in a cup car, you could ride in an F1 car. Maybe F1's maybe the only comparison. But if you're not entering that corner with confidence, that's a tenth of a second. And that's the difference between winning and losing, I think. Maybe F1's the only comparable situation to sprint car racing because I understand the extremes that they're pushing in that industry. I feel like maybe sprint car racing is the only thing close. Is that proper to say the confidence not only of the car but you as a driver is that important to perform? Like you can't sit here and think, I don't think you can personally, that you think that you're any less of a driver, for instance, than a Gravel, than a Macedo, than a Kofoid, than a Kyle Larson. And Kyle's agreed with me on this. I don't think there should be any driver on the track that don't think that they are the best. Put that car in the corner. Isn't that very true?
Yeah, it's true. It's about putting numbers on the board, Chaz. I've put numbers on the board before, so it's not like you can do it. You don't. I've never questioned myself and my ability. There's times when you do have to make decisions, and that decision making, I feel like, is how I was able to win 10 championships. The nights that you think that you got to go for a win, and you might take yourself out, and instead of running second or a win, you're on the hook in 24th and dig yourself a big hole. So them are the decisions, and it's when to push and not to push. It's kind of like nights like when I drove Paul Silva's car, at Paris. We were racing with a group of
Well, and
guys
that was
for
probably the closest opportunity
ninth
I
and
think that people were judging you on because Paul's established. I'm not trying to cut you off, but that West Coast swing, people expected. All right, if Donnie has Donnie as we see him, as a Scott Bloomquist, a Tim, whatever, a superior driver, this is where it's going to happen. So, what about that? Are you explaining potentially? I didn't. Once again, not meaning to cut you off. You're Donnie Schatz.
you did cut me off,
I
so shut
did
up
cut
now,
you off,
Chaz.
but yeah, I'm just laying the foundation to what people saw
I just
there.
got done trying to tell you that listen, I was running in the ninth, 10th spot, and I was racing with guys that a lot of nights end up on the hook. So instead of getting in caught something, I ended up at the wrong end of it, 12th or 13th, whatever it was. So you're going to have nights like that. That's a decision making process. I can tell you, Paul wasn't happy with it, and he has every reason to not be happy with how that night went. It's the way, I guess, I'm driving someone else's car. I've always treated the equipment like it was my own. I paid for it, I built it, and I wasn't just going to go do dumb things with it. So maybe that's a Donnyism that's not a great thing, but I also feel like it's those things that have won me the championships that they have and the way they have. So, but it takes a while working with people together. Like I said, you're not just going to jump in anything, regardless if it's the best. And if that was the case, then back when we were dominating, people could get the same cars and the same motors and put it all together, and they couldn't go out and do the same things. It's never really been that way. So everyone has a little different feel and and being able to do things. So it's, obviously, Paul's great at what he does. Him and Kyle have a great, they've raced together quite a while, but Paul's one of the sharpest people there is for looking at the car and seeing what it does and making adjustments. So, I mean, we had a great run the final night there. I think we only got to race together 5 times or something, whatever it was. But, for me to run top 5 at Tulare is probably more like a win for me there in today's environment, because it's not been one of my better tracks.
How was it dealing with Paul? Obviously, he's a very quiet guy. Well, for the media, he's, from my understanding, noticing and being in the pitting area, he's a very loud guy with the driver. What is working with Paul Silva even like? I don't think it's too much different. It's obvious, like I said, closed off to media of how it operates, but you got to work with what some, if Kyle Larson's NASCAR success is based on Hendrick, which he was bad in the Ganassi car, he got in the Hendrick car, did what he did. Obviously people would say, "Oh, well, that must be what the Paul Silva is. He's this next level guy." How was it actually to work with Paul Silva? Was there differences? You've worked with Ricky Warner. You've worked with the best in the world. How was that experience?
Pretty awesome, really. Paul's a hard worker, and I don't think people realize how he takes care of everything as if it was his last dollar that he put everything together with. I mean, he's super switched on. He keeps things really simple. He's very focused, and that's just it's pretty incredible to be around him. And he's try to help. I've seen him from the day that when he first came to Indianapolis and hung out at the Tony Stewart Racing shop back in the day, and used to stay there quite a bit and come and work on his stuff at night, to what he's turned into and made himself into is really cool. I mean, he's calm, cool, and collected. And
right. I mean, and that's what I would say is,
so,
like, you're it's not like we're coming from a perspective of a new driver. Like, you're established. You had won these Knoxville Nationals. You had won with Ricky Warner. And your experience with him is post these successes. So you're saying it was that nuanced. It was cool to see him not only come from where he had been, but you're saying, like you said, he watches the car. When you got back in the pitting area and he was telling you things, or y'all were discussing things, it was a little different than everyone else.
well, everybody's got a different way about him, Chaz, and everybody does, and that's that's how you make things work. You look at other drivers, and even the words they use to describe what the car is doing. Sometimes the crew chiefs take a little bit different adjustment on what they consider. It's not just, oh, it's tight, it's loose, it's this. There's a lot of little things that it's hard to get people to understand what you're trying to say. And that's, obviously, when Rick and I raced together, Rick used to say on a regular basis that he had 1 lap a night to figure out what the car was actually doing, and it was the first lap of hot laps, because after that, then I started adjusting what I do to try to correct it. And sometimes you just do that and you don't even realize it. So it's the nature of it.
Well, do you feel like your period, even, and honestly, I mean, you had your situation there with Paul, but you seem pretty happy with the situation with Jason versus the TSR.
100%. It was.
Well,
Listen,
I was just gonna say,
Jason,
versus the
Jason and
TSR scenario, Did you feel that scenario of listening and applying proper, was that completely different? Whereas, like, it did seem like your demeanor. I mean, not just me. I'm not trying. I mean, we can end the stream right now, but it seemed like your demeanor when you were with the 15 there before it departed, before it ended, was not as happy as the person maybe even dealing with Paul Silva and his attitude, for instance, or dealing with the Jason Sides attitude and the working together attitude. It seemed like two different Donnies, like you as a person.
Well, look, I was in that situation for a long period of time, and you don't realize how how bad it is sometimes till you find yourself in a different situation and you're removed from it, and then you're like, holy Christ, what it almost feels like you're drowning in acid. You feel like you're just toxic from that. So yeah, that was obviously ended, and you can be happy with just doing what you want to do. I mean, my goal was to just try to finish the year, and um, you know, Jason and his brother Paul made that happen with Sam and Nicole from the JVI group, and Jason knew my wishes were to. I just wanted to stay in the same car the rest of the year to try to work towards trying to win a race or have good runs and not tear anything up. And we did it pretty frugally. Jason does everything frugally, and I'm grateful for the opportunity that he gave me. And we had a lot of fun. And Jason and I have worked together before. I used to take him with me to Australia, and he was part of what we used to do over there with me and him and Lanny. And we had such a good time that it was like kind of reliving the old Australia days. So yeah, we didn't have the greatest results, but obviously by the time we got to Charlotte, we had a decent run, a top 3 finish, and obviously DNF the last night. But it is what it is. It was exactly what I wanted, and sometimes when you're it's like being in a beatdown. It's great to be surrounded by people that want to race with you. I was obviously with a group that didn't want to race with me, so.
What do you mean by that? Hold on. What do you mean? So you're saying for 10 years it changed?
No,
Like
no, I'm just saying.
when did
When
that shift happen? When did that shift happen?
When the 25 season started, it felt like like he didn't want to race with me because they didn't want to listen to what I had to say. Like,
you had success,
just like the motor
in 24.
broke. And
you had success.
Yeah, 100%, Chaz. We did. I said 25.
I know.
You're not listening.
No, I'm trying to
25 when we started out. Yeah, we had success right up until this year, and this year is when things went downhill and in a bad way, and it started right off in the first weekend from things. So it just kept snowballing and got worse and worse and worse. So change was definitely needed.
And so in that time period from the beginning of 25, like I said, I was just trying to timeline it. From the beginning of 25 till the split, it was, which I think that's what most people call it. I mean, once again, even Tony referenced it in the Dell Jr. interview, which should have been with someone else, in my opinion, but he referenced it, how it was this great run. And even winning the races and performing how y'all performed, even until 24, was great. It wasn't obviously 10 times, it wasn't domination. But when you consider the competition element that had increased, I think it's very much increased over the last few years. Y'all weren't necessarily performing horribly. And in 25, that's when.
No, you're right.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, the wheels fell off. Yeah, you're right. And you can sum this up to a lot of people people are allowed their opinions, and I've heard a lot of people blame Ford. I've heard them blame this, blame me. At the end of the day, when the Ford engine program came along, we won right out of the box. We went to Port Royal and we won. And a lot of those things started to slowly change, not just because of costs, because of the cost of the valve train. We had an advantage with them. The way they were, you had to maintenance them. You had to maintenance them when they were hot, and that's something that traditional sprint car guys don't like to maintenance a motor and run the valves when it's 200 degrees, and there was no adjusters on the rockers, so they had to shim them. So it was like a major ordeal to do some of the things we did, but all that stuff went away. It kind of took the advantage away. So if you sum the whole program up in a nutshell, you know, we were going to win 5 or 6 races a year, but it wasn't going to win us a championship. And that's where,
well, and that's why I say that, like,
obviously we wanted to, I wanted to win championships because that's what we done most of my, you know, later career. So we were going to win our between 4, 5, 6 races a year. And that's kind of what it was. And obviously we snuck a Kings Royal in there at the time, and we got a Nationals in there, and we won a National Open. So we were still competitive. And when it come to some of them big races, we had that ability to, you know, and some people are never going to win those races, just one.
Yeah, exactly. Those are huge wins. Like,
yep. So, and obviously it came to a point where there's literally nothing left there. They had to change it. And I think everybody just thought changing the motors back to Chevys or whatever you want to call them was going to be a complete miracle changer, and it wasn't. It's nothing against them. We just didn't have all the pieces in place. We spent a lot of time trying to fix one thing, and it was always something else. So it just is what it is.
Well, I've always taken you as like a championship guy. Like, it seems like you value championships, not necessarily wins. Like, obviously winning Kings Royals, winning Knoxville Nationals, these to a lot of people are worth more than a championship. If you could tell Rico Abreu, I'd rather, you know, had won the Knoxville Nationals this year versus High Limit, I think he would maybe make that trade. You know, I'm just saying, like, these are big wins that you were
Yeah, you want to win big races, but at the end of the day, it's way harder to win a championship because the championship consists of all the races, not just one. And it's, you know, it's consistency. And when you can run consistency or be consistent, you're going to win races. And, you know, that's just where it's at. I guess that, there's a lot of people that could just go at it, just trying to win big races. But I think that's how you win the big races is being consistently trying to race for a championship.
Well, and that's what I was saying in a way, as I was saying, like, or what I was trying to explain there is like, yes, you know, winning these big races are a huge deal. But I feel like you as a person, you know, you're a Mark Martin guy. You think a championship, a durational achievement is more important. I think that's why you're very traditional in your, you know, believing the outlaw. Winning a World Outlaw Championship is probably more prestigious to you than most people. I think now, with how the sport's changing, that they're trying to put more emphasis on these big events more so than the championships. But that's because the championships are split now. So that's basically what I was saying. But at the end of the day, do you think in today's society, as you were explaining a Tony Stewart situation with you, was a 6-ish win advantage? 6-ish wins don't seem to be what wins anymore. Championships on the outlaw level, at least. It seems
exactly
like
right. That's exactly my point. If you want to be happy with that, it's not you're not shooting yourself right in the foot by. Yeah, it's a thorn in your side to win 6, but you're not going to win a championship doing that. You gotta, you know, you look at David had a great year. I think they won 15 races or something like that. We had a year where we won 31 races, I think, in 2015. So, yeah, that's what you strive for. That's what we've shot for. You know, you shoot for the, you know, to try to better what you've done in the past. And it'd be tough in today's environment to beat a 31 win season, but I'm still going to try. I'm still going to do my damn best to do that. So,
well, this is, I mean, not to tie to the beginning of the talk, but like, for instance, like Paul Silva, he wants you to take these risks. You didn't take them, for instance. And it's just what, you know, he's used to. Is that risk-taking style the only type? The one that, for instance, the one that rolls the dice going forward and just fucking sends it. If you don't qualify first, like David Gravel's qualifying position was like, what, 2.3? I mean, yeah, now you can Cadillac the front of the field. But outside of that, if you're not doing that, which is extremely, unbelievably difficult to qualify at that level, Like at that point, do you almost have to be to win a World Outlaw Championship a Buddy Kofoid style? You know, which obviously is not your style, but whether it's tires, whether it's wings, whether it's rules, whether it's this, whether it's that, it seems like you almost have to be the risk taker to make up ground anymore.
I don't. You're always taking risks. It's just how far you take it. I mean, it's not a. I don't think it's changed. I mean, Buddy's just coming into his own, and obviously he had a phenomenal year, but he still don't have a championship to go with it, and so I'm sure he will at some point. You know,
well, and David's 10 years in
I don't know that it's just
racing.
based off of style. I mean, you take a look at David. David's won the last 2 championships, and he didn't do it being a daredevil and going over the top. He did it being smarter. And
but he also did it in qualifying. Did he not do it in qualifying as well?
I don't know. You can sit and say it's just that, you know.
Starting up front's huge in the outlaw format. I mean, it is.
I agree with you, and I don't know that that's why I like the high limit format where they inverted.
So, hold on, you're giving high limit some credit? Hold on, you're giving high limit some credit now. This is groundbreaking. Yeah, I mean,
I've never. What do you mean? I don't throw rocks at them for things they do. But yeah, I think inverting 4 in the heat, you take a heat winner and the fastest qualifier. The Outlaws used to do that, and I can almost guarantee you that the reason they changed it is they had people standing there going, "You got to change who wins, and if you change this, it's going to change." And so who knows?
Well, don't you think the old World Outlaw format that changed was based on the few people who would spend the money to go full time outlaw racing? I mean, there's more money now, obviously willing to invest into national sprint car racing, but when their format started changing, it was only a few people. It wasn't a lot. So those few people's opinions could change the format.
Very true. Very true.
I mean, that's what happened. I mean, the Outlaws can say their format is to appease this or that, but the reason it appease is because of I would call it, as I always have, no offense, the NASCAR oligarch that basically funded the World of Outlaws for about 8 to 15 years. I don't know how to put it because I don't know. But, I mean, when you take out Casey Kane, Tony Stewart, and Ricky Stenhouse's money and connections, I don't know if you have an Outlaw series there for a while. You know, so you listen to them.
Oh, I think it'll be just fine.
You think so?
Yep.
Well, we can't go back and, like, document, obviously. But you like
how many rookies were there this year? You got to take a look at how many rookies that were there. I mean, it's pretty incredible. I mean, normally there's at best 2, or some years there, was 1, or some years not even 1. So
I'm not degrading the current format. Hold on. To reference to the crowd that is potentially listening, what was the old World of Outlaw format? How did it operate? The World of Outlaws you came to that you wanted the championship with, how did that field get lined up?
I honestly don't remember, Chaz. It's been so long ago.
There was inverts involved, obviously.
I think there was. They used to invert when I first came out here. They inverted 6 cars in the heat race and took 5. So the 2 fastest cars in qualifying in each heat had to race each other, normally for a transfer spot into the feature, and then sometimes a fast qualifier was going to the B main, or you know what I mean. So that's how they did it. But then you lined straight up by your qualifying times, or they did a dash draw or something. It's changed.
You got it back.
A million times.
You basically got your qualifying position back.
Yeah.
So then, when you look at the outlaw format and the high limit format, I didn't think this discussion, but what would you see? Do you see the high limit, how they do it, how they line up a field as proper? Like that's how it should be? What should it be?
Well, I think you have to have a goal in why you do something. You have to have a goal in why you make a rule change. So is it a rule change based off safety? Is it a rule change based off cost? And you take the high limits heat race format where they invert 4. So you got invert 4 cars in the heat race. So
and the quick qualifier just has to advance, and he's in the dash. correct. I mean,
Yep,
that's
exactly. But then someone that doesn't qualify as well is going to be on the front and probably end up in the dash too. And so now we're not so worried about all this high dollar, making our motors so that everything's about qualifying. Everything's
right.
about qualifying. You're probably cutting back on a lot of money throughout the year on just trying to push and make more power and make things lighter because it's not so ultra important about qualifying. So I think if that's their goal, great. Then they met their goal. But
well,
if it
this
was
is
for
the
some
engine
other reason,
cartel we talked
just to be
about. I
different,
mean, the engine
yeah,
cartel, because there's a lot of money to be made. You got drivers now buying, unfortunately, I would say, engine manufacturers. That's not necessarily right, is it? I mean, for a driver competing to own the horsepower.
there's no rule against it, but
But if you're going to emphasize qualifying, this is why you get to that level of control.
there is a level of control to it. Yep.
So, I mean, I basically, you're for a free market. I think you are a true American in thinking that way. And I do think that format sometimes appease a market. And when the formats of our industry, for instance, I'm just thinking business wise, when the business appeases a certain level of degree of performance and you can purchase that performance, that's when you have a problem. That's when you have eliminated the free market. You don't have an open market anymore because this is the goal of controlling it. That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay.
You lost me with all them big words. So.
Oh, come on. At the end of the
I barely
day,
graduated high school, Chaz.
well, obviously you like
barely got through high school.
Well, it seems like you like the high limit format. So has high limit approached you?
I do like their format. High limit approached me about what?
You do understand, Donnie, that if high limit was able to add, I'm just saying this honestly. I mean, I could make 4 texts tonight and you could get some offers if you haven't already. I can't believe this hasn't happened. If high limit could acquire Donnie Schatz, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's like signing.
You know what, Chaz?
I'm just saying. Hold on. Have you? What do you mean? Hold on.
No, you just
if
need
high
to,
limit, could, hold on, Donnie. If
here.
high limit could have
When I
Donnie
was
Schatz
when I
on
was
their
5 years
full-time
old,
roster next year, that is huge.
since the time I was 5 years old and my dad took me to the races, there was only one series. There was the World of Outlaws. And so
Okay.
that's what my yearly coming to Fargo was to come and see Steve Kinzer and Sammy Swindell and Dave Blaney and Doug Wolfgang. And those guys were all my heroes. That's who I got to grow up watching.
Correct.
There was only one series.
Right.
So when I was a kid, my school pictures, I was wearing a World of Outlaw driver shirt. So that's how I grew up.
Okay.
And it's been in
what
my
year
blood
was that?
since
Hold on. What year was that?
That young. I don't. You're
19.
no, I don't. I was 5 years old. So.
Well, yeah, it has to be with the 19. We're in
Anyway,
2025 now, Donnie. We're in 2025.
What I'm telling you is,
was there even a cell phone then?
I've got 29 years invested with them. No, there wasn't. I got 29 years invested with them, so I think I've, kind of committed myself with them, and I don't agree with everything they've done, but it's also I have a vested interest in it myself because I've literally invested that much time, and so to me, it's the core of who I am. Whether people like the Outlaws or they don't like the Outlaws, we all have issues with everything we do and different people. But to me, it's what I've spent my entire life trying to be a part of, and I have. So I'm not about to try to go do something better or because the grass is greener, or look, there's a lot of things that I like about that, but there's nothing wrong with the competition. So,
well, I'm not even saying grass is greener. I mean, it's like, I feel from a media perspective, they're trying to push you out. I mean, being honest, they're trying to say Donnie's done. Let's do a retirement party. Mark Martin 2020, what was it, 2017? Let's do the Mark Martin retirement tour. They did it with Steve Kinzer. I mean, they did a retirement tour with him. I feel like they're trying to do that with you, with the Outlaws. They're like, here's Gravel, here's Kofoid, here's the future of the sport. He's going to go away. Come and get your last fucking autographs with the clown. I'm just saying, that's how I feel. I don't think High Limit would feel that way. I feel like I'm not a Kyle Larson undercover agent here. I'm just simply saying, I feel like, I mean, to be honest, that's how the Outlaws are projecting it. And I also feel like if High Limit could acquire you as an entity, as the fucking Scott Bloomquist, as the Tim McCready, as the Donnie Schatz, that's huge. Like I'm about to text Michael Rigsby. Like, if they even thought they could have you, because everyone in the industry, Donnie, knows that you are an outlaw guy. Everyone already knows that you have this allegiance to the World of Outlaws. They know how you feel. But if there was an opportunity for Donnie,
yeah, Chaz,
I'm just saying. I mean,
lifetime trying to create a name for myself and create a place for myself when I did, and I've done it with, and it's 99% of it is because of the fans that have come to the races. So that allegiance is there to them. You know, it's good that I was able to get that, so I'm staying true to that.
Well, I think it would be a nice slap in the face too if you could go in there and whack Rico around. It wouldn't be hard for you to win a High Limit championship. Let's be honest. I mean, the consistency that Donnie Schatz brings.
You never know, Chaz.
No. I'm sorry. When it comes to who's better, Brent Marks or Donnie Schatz, every night of the week, picking Donnie. I think you could go in there and slap Rico around. He can't even make the A main sometimes. I'm just saying. I mean, if this was a possibility,
it's just the way racing is.
Well, no, I'm just simply saying, like, if there was a possibility in the world, and honestly, this is the best thing in the world. I mean, I don't know how Flow Racing isn't offering at least 30% of their streaming revenue to Donnie Schatz at this point. I mean, if it's possible, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Because that's the show. I mean, Donnie versus Rico. I mean, could you imagine that every single week? I'm just thinking, like, you would add validity to the series. Oh my God, I'm texting. Would you actually do this? Would you actually partake? I mean, no. Why? This is. That's the story.
I'm telling you exactly where my allegiance lies and what I'll be doing until the day I'm done.
But the allegiance, and once again, I'm not being mean to Dirt Vision or Brian Carter. The allegiance is trying to push you out on a retirement party, and here's Kofoid and Gravel. That's how it feels.
I don't know that that's exactly true, Chaz. I think that's maybe how you see it.
I think a lot of people see it that way.
You know, like I told you, I don't always agree with some of the things they do, but anybody that's in business hires people because they have jobs they need them to do, and you got to hire people, and you let them do their job, and you can't sit over their shoulder every 5 minutes and nitpick this and micromanage that. And there are some people there that have kind of lost their way with things, and eventually that'll come around, and those people probably won't be around anymore. But sometimes when you got a company as big as it is and there's that many people in it, it takes some time to weed through that and sort through that, especially when your schedule is 85 plus races a year. When you can start from scratch and start with who you want, it's a little different story. It's probably a little bit easier situation than try to maintain something that's been established that long. So they'll figure it out.
Well, trust me. I mean, I feel the same allegiance to the Outlaws. I feel like they're the guys who put in the work. I mean, seeing how they push it, how they're trying to market, there would be a very high value for Donnie Schatz on the High Limit Tour. A very high value. Very.
Yeah, there's also a very high value of
from the marketing
becoming
perspective.
an Uber driver in town too, you know.
Well, no, I'm just saying from the marketing perspective, if Donny Schatz was a high limit driver, that is their David. That is their Kofoid. That is um their selling point. Donnie versus Rico would be um huge. Extremely huge. Because I think that
Have
that's
you been drinking?
of course I started talking with Boom Briggs. No, I'm simply saying, like, when you start thinking of the levels of that too, like, a lot of people doubt high limit based on their consistency. You know, they start they it's rightfully doubted. I mean, look at how consistent the 2 car and the 83 is. You know, and the 41's not far behind. These are some very established, consistent race cars. You have to deal with them, obviously, on the Outlaw Tour. I'm not sitting here saying that the Outlaw Tour isn't that badass. I think you could put those 3 cars against anyone in the world, and they're probably the best in the world. But if you're simply trying to market the high limit series as far as consistency, if you brought Donny Schatz in there with a consistent ride to go up against the former team of Donny Schatz with Rico Abreu on a week in and week out basis, that is very, very marketable. That's a show. I think that's a
Hey, you've
show.
said that 10 times now. Let's move on to the next thing.
You're saying it's never going to happen. You're saying it's never going to happen.
No, I never say never, Chaz, but
Hold on. No,
most
I'm
likely
just
not going to
saying. You
happen.
say most likely. You're saying most likely.
Most likely it won't happen.
Hmm. What is most likely going to happen then with Donnie?
I'll probably race with the World of Outlaws till I decide it's time to be done, and whenever that is, that is.
Okay.
I
Obviously,
don't know what I'll do after that. Whether I'll have some form of, maybe I'll start my own series. Who knows? No, I'm kidding. I'd never do
somebody
that.
just said it would be Hulk Hogan going to WCW. I think that's actually a very comparable statement. I think that
Yeah,
you could be the guy. You could be the one. You really could. But and it's fine. You've already said no. Um, but what is Donnie Shots in 2026? I don't.
oh, I don't have
I'm hearing the
I don't have
rumors.
anything to
I
tell
know.
you
I know.
yet, Chaz.
We're all hearing the rumors. Um, I don't think you're going to roll out with a slighted. I would call it a slighted opportunity. I think if you're going to roll out in 2026, it's going to be with an opportunity that could give you what I think a person like you wants, which is a solid shot at a World Outlaw Championship. Is that proper to say?
That's exactly what it'll be, Chaz. I'll be racing with people that want to race with me, with people that are super excited about racing with me, and people that have the same values and direction that I have. So it'll be good. I'm excited that it'll. By the time we roll into Volusia, there'll be an opportunity, hopefully, to start off and be able to race for a win right out of the box, and it won't have to do a whole lot of building process. But I could be wrong, but it'll be all right. It'll be really good, actually.
Well, and I've heard some people say, I mean, I don't know. They call me, they talk to me. They said that when they talk to you, they say that what you have lined up potentially for 2026 is potentially the greatest opportunity you've ever had for a World of Outlaw championship run. Is that fair to say with the people? Obviously, once again, you can't say, but it sounds like
Well,
whatever you
it's going
got
to be a
going
great
is like,
opportunity. Let's just it'll be good. It's probably not what you think, or probably not what you've heard, and that's probably a good thing. But it is what it is. It's you're right. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not. There's a lot of little details to take care of to get handed up, but yeah, it'll be a great opportunity for me to be able to race for a championship. I don't. It's not unfair to sit here and say, well, it'll be the greatest opportunity to win it because we've won it. I had my own team back in the day, and
I mean, Tony Stewart was a great
um,
operation. I mean, it
probably
wasn't bad, right? So,
one of the best opportunity, one of the best things ever happened to my family was we won a championship in '06 the first time, and it was kind of clouded because there was a split, and
we won again in '07, and it was just an incredible year. And obviously, to be able to go race at the same level with great people and all the things we did for a lot of years with Tony, and not have to worry about the ownership side, the management side, the financial side, it was great. So those are all great opportunities, and very fortunate, I guess, that I'm still getting them.
Well, but studying the current market, as far as how people are racing and what you need to compete. When you say that, you're talking about Kofoid. They're doing very well. You say that you're talking about gravel. They're doing extremely well. You think this opportunity is on that level and capable of being able to beat them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I only have 2 more questions for you quickly, if that's able to happen. Is it able to
Yep.
happen? I don't want to like bully. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
How do you think the girls are going to do in the dome? How do you think this is going to go? The dome's a very I always tell people it's the greatest show that you can see. I know people love the Chili Bowl,
I will.
but continue. Sorry.
Yeah, it's gonna look. They're excited about going. That's the first hurdle.
It's a fun
And
thing.
last year, last year, Amelia got to race it. I mean, look at the relationships she created, and Boom's coming to hang out with her and help her, and those people. Hell, they know more people than I do. I mean, it's pretty crazy, and it's an uphill battle for those girls, racing those cars in that environment. But sometimes you got to get thrown to the wolves before you realize what you're up against. And it's a great. I will say this:
It's a
makes
show.
the hair on the back of your neck and your arms stand up on Saturday night when they do
Saturday
the intro
night's
and
the
do all the
best.
things.
I've told everyone, sprint car fans. I have potentially a lot of sprint car fans going, but Saturday night at the Dome, if you can get a ticket, there's potentially not a better show in motorsports. Period. It is a show. You will
I
be
think
entertained.
it's a great event. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. The emotions are high. The racing's
Intros.
high. For me, it's got a it's a great. For me, I have a a lot of personal connection to it. My daughter is with Gordy Gundaker, and they have a child together, and they got the second one on the way due here in January. And Gordy's family is part of helping out with building the racetrack and doing that. So I get to spend the weekend playing grandpa, and which is pretty important to me because I don't get to do it as often as I like because they do live in St. Louis. So this is a double whammy for me. So I'm really looking forward to going and watching the girls. And the girls understand this sport probably better than I do some days when it comes to the side of the social media and the marketing side of things. They the interaction that they have, and they're building themselves a brand. I did it a little bit different way back in the day because I didn't do it via social media. I did it via
You did it with
results on the
victories. You did it
racetrack.
on the track. They're doing it off the track.
And so
Right.
there's a way to be successful in the racing world now, but via social media and that sort of thing. So I'm proud of them for that. They're going to have a great time. I think ultimately that's what we all are drawn to this sport for is the entertainment and the love of it. I mean, I don't know that anybody. This sport doesn't owe any of us anything. It doesn't owe us wins. It doesn't owe us money. It's what we choose to do because we like it and we love it. So as long as we get to make sure we do that, then I guess it's a win-win for everybody. So as far as I'm concerned, we've already won because we know we're going to have fun.
Okay. That's first question. That's your answer. That's fine. Beautiful. Awesome. It is an amazing event. I have pushed this several times. My second question. Sprint cars in the Dome. Standalone weekend. I already have a few investors actually have contacted me. We've made the connections with Cody. What do you think of sprint cars in the Dome? People say the track's too small. I'm like, have you been to Placerville? Have you been to Jacksonville? Have you been to some of these events? I think it would work. I think it would be, yeah, there'd be some wrecks. That's fine. I don't think the track's too small. It's bigger than people give it credit for, in my opinion. But what do you think of a sprint car event in that dome on that track?
The
I'm a sprint
idea
car
of it is
guy.
great. The idea of it's great, Chaz, and it has nothing to do with the track size. You put your mind to anything and you work at it hard enough, you can make it work. So would it work? Yes. Here's why it won't work. Strictly because of the way sprint cars have to be pushed off. You can't stop them. You know, the setup for all that. We literally spend 4 hours a night pushing cars, and that's something that the late models have an advantage with their setup. They can hit the start button and go, and they can pop it out of gear. They can back them up. They can move them when they want them with a clutch. I mean, that's the huge difference. And
you're
that's
saying the
more likely
racing
why
element wouldn't be a problem. It's the downtime.
It's just moving the cars around, and
Okay.
you know, you having to push the car up there with a four-wheeler and all those things, the logistics of it, just because of what it is. It's just.
But you think it could work?
I don't
It could
think
happen. But you think it could end up being a shit show, is what you're saying.
Start a sprint car and start them on their own, it'd probably be awesome, but it just isn't going to work in that environment that way.
How do you think the race would play out? If it was premium cars, premium race, do you think it would be a good race visually?
It probably could be. Like I said, anything you put your mind to, I'm sure you can figure it out and make it work. So I don't know. I couldn't
Would you
speculate
race
how
it?
the racing would be. It all depends.
50,000 to win. He put $1 million cap on it. So I mean, I'm assuming the teams and drivers would pay decent.
Obviously we do race. We do race for a living. So and there's a lot of races out there. So yeah.
And the races are mainly 12 and 10,000 to win.
I don't know that it's fair. I don't know that it's fair to say, would you race it? Because it's not there. It's not a reality. So if you're asking me a hypothetical here,
it's hypothetical. Yes.
It's it's hypothetical. So.
Okay. Well, I feel like I need to let you go. You got to get up. You got to go. You got to be at the Dome tomorrow. So, I thank you for your time. Interesting conversation.
All right, Chaz. See you later.
Alrighty. Bye. That was Donnie Schatz. I didn't know that was going to happen. This is all we got. Boom Briggs. We got the family on. I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, except go to the Dome. Oh my God. I feel like that's what we have to do. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe to the channel. No super chats. That's fine. But I feel like we're going to the Dome tomorrow. If we're live tomorrow at 5 p.m., it's because of the super chats, PayPal, Venmo links in the description. Oh my God. Keep the show rolling. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. It was a show. Can't say it was anything but that.